Good morning, all. My name is Haley Comet, and welcome to Just Another Magic Monday. Your look at the astrology of the week of September 12th to September 18th, translated into accessible, practical insights for your daily life, letting you know how you can co-create with these celestial energies. And loves, I'm giving you the lowdown on this week and every week on my YouTube channel. I post Magic Monday every single Monday morning, 2:30 a.m. PDT, 5:30 a.m. EDT. Great astrology or bad astrology, busy week or not busy week, I will be here with most likely a beverage in hand, here to guide you into the week. I've got a grapefruit sparkling water with some lemon in it, and I swear there's nothing that makes you feel like your life is together like lemon water. And I think that's why I'm typically drawn towards drinking lemon water during times that I don't feel like my life is particularly together. I pop a lemon in water though, and I'm like, everything's okay. At least you're having lemon water. You're a beacon of having it all together. I am not. Don't let the lemon water deceive you. And that's a life hack. If you ever feel like your life is a mess, pop a lemon in the water. You'll feel like it's together. But without further ado, let's chat about this week. Cheers, loves. Okay, so what is on the forecast astrologically? So we have Venus square Mars, which is contributing to quite a bit of overwhelm and perhaps even nitpicky critical tendencies. We have Sun trine Pluto, which is really powerful around releasing bad habits that potentially for some of you, last week's Pisces Full Moon could have brought to the surface. Reminder, I do have a deep dive over on my channel, taking it sign by sign if you're curious about what themes came to the surface within yours. But for some, there could have been, a certain bad habit or something that you use to escape from reality that Sun trine Pluto is helping you release and rid yourself of those habits if you are able to really look the truth square in the face and look at yourself square at the face and productively and proactively transform, right? And that's if we're able to proactively deal with it, because many may not. With Sun opposite Neptune, it definitely casts this hazy glow over the week around not dealing with things head on or not wanting to deal with things head on, because it's not always comfortable to change and it's not always comfortable to look at yourself, right? There is definitely a vibe where some people could just be happy within their own daydream, and some people are getting really real and really grounded about their practical realities. So I'm chatting you through every single aspect. Let's take it into vibe check of the week so we can really begin to tune in to how these aspects are going to come to life within our world. Okay, loves, so in vibe check of the week, we liken the week's astrology to a real life situation. So you have something to grab onto to really understand how these themes are coming to the surface within your world. Because oftentimes, Sun opposite Neptune, Venus square Mars, it doesn't necessarily ignite a very visceral reaction within us, but real life situations tend to do that a little bit more effectively. So let's chat about what this astrology feels like. This week's astrology feels like that period of time in between honeymoon phase and reality. It's virtually bridging that gap. And if you're not familiar with what it is that I'm talking about, honeymoon phase refers to within a connection when it's like you are just in limerence. You just do not see anything wrong with the person that you are dating. You just think that they are the most perfect individual. And literally brain chemistry wise, we do not notice the flaws and imperfections at first. And it's so fascinating. I actually read this book. It's called Love Cycles. If you are interested in this topic, I deeply recommend it. But there's a time within our connections where we virtually cannot see anything wrong. If our brain picks up on it, it's glossed over, or it's like we see it as cute. Like, oh, it's so cute that she calls me bug. Oh, it's so cute he always leaves the cabinets open. And then at a certain point within a connection, it's like all of a sudden those flaws are all you can see, right? All of a sudden into the connection, you're like, wow, this person really is always a mess, or wow, this person always has coffee stains on their shirts. That's me. But there's this bridging of those two because both energies are sort of present, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out within everyone's world. Because on one hand, with Sun opposite Neptune, there is this vibe around rose-colored glasses, right? I don't want to see the details. I just want to vibe. I don't want to bring up a big stink about how you need to close the cabinets or on how you need to make sure you get the coffee stains out of your clothes. Let's just vibe. Let's just connect. However, there's this really lovely opportunity if we're able to face those things head on with Sun trine Pluto, and it's in Earth sign. So it's like allowing ourselves to really take any insights or any criticism that people are giving us this week and really integrate it into our world. And it's not always easy to take criticism, but I'm going to liken it this way. And a lot of people are not going to like this, but when someone takes the time to give you constructive criticism or tells you, hey love, we got to start closing the cabinets, that might be the last thing you want to hear. And for some, the Sun opposite Neptune energy could come to the surface around being like, they're just too picky. I'm perfect. Like I was living my life before I started dating them. I don't need to stop my bad habits. They can just deal. And with this energy, we can certainly ignore it, which many people will do with Sun opposite Neptune, be like, they're the problem, I'm perfect, whatever. But when someone takes the time to constructively criticize you, they're giving you a gift. Now, delivery is not always great, and with Venus and Virgo being extra critical, square Mars and Gemini, the little things are gonna bug us more this week. And when we communicate those little things, whether someone telling us, hey, this could be better in this way, or when we tell someone else that really is a gift. We don't always want to deal with it. It's not always what we want to hear, but someone is literally telling you that you could be living up to your potential in a more actualized way. And it's really Virgo-like in a sense, because we are in Virgo season. We have Venus in Virgo. In that, with Venus and Virgo, we express our love via attunement to the details. And since Virgo is an energy concerned with perfection and improving and refining, their job in the zodiac is to tell us how we can be being better. And so oftentimes when someone tells us, hey, I think this would be better this way, a lot of times ego can kind of get in the way and be like, no, that's a you thing, that's not a me thing. And maybe this isn't coming to the surface within your relationships this week. It could come to the surface within work. You know, like your boss coming over and saying, hey, what do you think if we did it this way? Or a coworker saying, hey, what would you think if you did it this way? Or maybe like a roommate saying, hey, what do you think if we change the chore wheels? Or what do you think about the way you put the silverware away? Because like, what is this? And the thing about Virgo is that some of these qualms are gonna feel really nitpicky and really annoying. And it's just the Virgo way. Like you might be like, why are they coming at me about the silverware organizer? Like that's such a small thing. But think about the things that really annoy you. Like those little things of life where it's like, when my roommate does that, when my partner does that, when my boss does that, it just drives me nuts, right? There's just certain things that get under our skin. And I want to prep you, there's a frustrated energy with Venus square Mars, and whether someone else is giving us constructive criticism or we are delivering it, there's an opportunity to allow ourselves to transform because of that, or to keep living within our little delusion that we are perfect and that there's no room at all for us to grow. And like Virgo season, the purpose is to refine, is to improve. Not always the most fun, not always the most pleasant to hear, but valuable. And I know it's tendency when, you know, someone tells you could be doing better in this way, you just kind of want to shut it out in a sense. Like that comes to the surface so often. If someone criticizes something, edits something, even comments on, you know, social media and things of that nature. And obviously some people are straight up mean, but really deciphering, does this person care about my potential and the person that I am enough to want me to have these insights and want me to evolve into the best version of myself and to be a human being who doesn't have coffee stains on my clothes and to be a human being who like closes all the cabinet doors? So really important to look through any criticism you receive through the lens of how it is that you can grow and evolve, as well as being able to communicate to loved ones or to partners any sort of insights that you feel called that you need to deliver. I mean, definitely tread carefully as Mercury is retrograde, so it could be needing to be reviewed, but this is a positive time. If Mercury retrograde is really bringing something to the surface where it's like, this might feel like a little thing to this person, like he might think, oh, it's fine if I walk in the door still wearing my shoes and don't take them off until I'm all the way in the foyer, even though I've tracked in all the dirt from the outside to that point. To him, it might not feel like a big deal, but like to you, you just think of the germs and it just makes you so uncomfortable. It's like if there is something where that honesty and we can communicate in a way around this would make me feel better, this would make our relationship better, this would make us living as roommates together, this would make our work situation better. Let's be us versus the problem rather than me versus you. Does that make sense? Like, rather than feeling like you're being criticized because someone's like, I'm perfect and this is how you can be better. Really looking at the world through this growth-oriented lens when delivering insights and criticism and receiving insights and criticism. Not easy, but definitely worth it this week. Let's take it day by day. Just a quick heads up. All times that I mention are PDT, so ensure that you adjust to your time zone before putting it into your planner. There are timestamps below if you want to jump to a certain day. Also, if you click the join button, you'll see some options if you do feel called to support the channel deeper, but just know that if you are here, you're supporting the channel. But just if you feel inspired to do so. Without further ado, let's dive in. Monday, September 12th. Okay, loves, so happy Monday, September 12th. Firstly, I just want to say that if the Pisces full moon was intense, give yourself some space to process. We're still technically kind of in the Pisces full moon hangover zone. And while we do have an opportunity aspect, it's sandwiched between two rather heavy ones. And Monday is moon day. So giving yourself the space and the grace to feel, to cope, and to process if the Pisces full moon was intense. Now, do keep in mind, not every lunation is impactful for our chart. Not every full moon knocks us to the ground, and thank goodness for that. But I just wanted to preface by saying that if it was intense for you, giving yourself some space to recuperate on Monday, and also not being like, what's wrong with me? It's Aries moon. I should be energetic and active and all of these things. Love, we're still recovering from the full moon. For some, was very emotional. You can check out the Pisces full moon. I've linked it below if you want to dive deeper into that. So with Monday, we have an opportunity aspect, which is Aries moon sextile Saturn in Aquarius. This happens in the middle of the day, which is hardworking. We have the passion, the initiation of Aries energy meets the groundedness of Saturn and Aquarius. It's giving very much handle your to-do list because you both have the courage to move into action as well as the responsibility and the diligence to really bring down your ideas down to earth. So essentially, hardworking day. But on the same day, that opportunity aspect is sandwiched between two rather intense aspects. And to bring it back to the vibe check, so the Aries moon conjoins Chiron, which is the wounded healer, which represents sort of like wounds or ouches that sort of put us on the offense, okay? So it's like almost when your partner is like, honey, do you think you could put your laundry in the laundry basket rather on the floor? And part of you is just like, do you know how busy I am? How dare you? Like, I was living my life fine. I don't need you. Why are you telling me what to do? Like, almost that energy where it just triggers something within you where you don't feel like enough. So you're just always like, whoa, are you perfect? Da da da. And maybe it's not coming to the surface within our relationship. Maybe that's coming to the surface at work. Maybe that's coming to the surface within your friendships. But it's like someone saying something to you and you're taking it personally and you're going in the offense because it just triggered something deeper, right? Like, not everybody can know your entire history, and sometimes there are certain things that people say, comments that people write, where to a certain level, it's not necessarily cruel, but it just triggers a deeper story within us and puts us on the offense, puts our little claws out, like getting an email from a coworker and you just feel the impulsive urge to be like, as per my last email, because you feel like they're coming after you. And it might be getting to those feelings around where it is that inherently you feel like you are not enough or that you are unworthy, that you need to prove yourself at work. Does that make sense? It's just situations emotionally of just like, ouch, of just where it is that you feel insecure, not enough, and sort of wounds that put you on the offense. Then the Aries moon sextile Saturn, which like I said, is productive. If you can get yourself in the zone, Monday's a great time, just chug through things. But then that evening, the Aries moon squares Pluto in Capricorn before going void. So this is taking things personally. This is tunnel vision, obsessive thoughts. Definitely try to go to bed early, get off Reddit. Just get some shut-eye, my love. When there's harsh Pluto aspects at night, nothing good happens after a harsh Pluto aspect. Close the browser, take some melatonin and just get some sleep. Let's recover from the Pisces full moon, okay? And let me know, because some people feel like really energized during full moons and some people feel absolutely depleted, absolutely exhausted. So let me know what came up for you this weekend. I think this is gonna be a pretty sleepy one. Like, I think half people with the Pisces full moon probably were tired. The conjunction Neptune could sometimes zap our energy, and half could have been like drinking overboard, all of that. So it'll be interesting to see where everyone lands. So make sure to chime in on how it was that it went for you. And on Monday, the moon is void at 9:53 p.m. PDT. So just know nothing good happens after a harsh Pluto aspect, and nothing good happens after a void moon. So just get some shut-eye. On Tuesday the 13th, the moon enters Taurus at 4:39 a.m. and that is the only aspect all day. And the moon is exalted in Taurus. It loves to be there. It's comfy, cozy. It's delighted by the senses. It's attuned to delicious food, delicious music, delicious art. Taurus placements know how to live. I think Taurus energy has the best taste in the zodiac. So with Taurus moon, remember to delight into your senses, give yourself things that feel good, taste good, smell good, especially with the moon. It doesn't exactly happen on Tuesday, but the moon does build to trine Venus the next day, which you might feel at nighttime. And that's Taurus's ruler, is Venus. So it even enhances his desire and pursuit for beauty, for loveliness. And you know, it's not necessarily very hedonistic, because the Taurus moon ruler is Venus in Virgo, which again is in fall, but Virgo is ultimately concerned with refinement and improvement and efficiency. So it's like things that feel good, but also are good for you. Does that make sense? Like going for a long walk. Lovely, delightful, you see so many beautiful things, but you're also moving your body, making a healthy meal that's genuinely delicious, not something that you have to just like choke down because it's not good at all. You know, something that is nutritious, but it delights the senses. Like finding those opportunities Tuesday and kind of like early Wednesday is when the moon trine Venus exacts. You can delight the senses while also improving the body, calming the mind. Give Virgo some self-improvement vibes and give the Taurus moon some pleasure vibes, and both will be happy. This earthy energy will feel grounded. And enjoy the relative calm on Tuesday with not many moon aspects and simply an exalted moon building to trine its Venus, because that's not what we can say with Wednesday. The Taurus moon meets up with Uranus, technical difficulties, things that are up and down, then it squares Saturn. There can be something unexpected coming up at work, a please fix email, something annoying, something unexpected that puts more pressure on your day. So I would definitely say when it comes to work tasks, anything you want to get done, definitely bookend the important ones towards the beginning part of the week. Wednesday just feels like it could be really busy and something unexpected happens that sort of throws you off course and messes up your pretty to-do list, which, you know, Virgo season feels calmed by. My gosh, I feel like where I've been tested lately in life school, if you want to think about it, is flexibility. And it's so interesting because like with Virgo placements, it's about planning and attuning. And it's like, I'm really drawing into focus how when plans change, I almost just like lose it. Like I don't even know what to do. I almost just like freeze. And I'm like learning how to pivot. Like, you know, if something doesn't work out, we can't actually go to that place, learning how to pivot rather than just panicking, being like, how is this closed? This is where we were gonna go. So on Wednesday, just pivot, okay? Try not to let the Virgo placement spiral because it's not going exactly as you imagined. Just take a deep breath. What are you gonna do? Just try to fight and fight and fight for this restaurant to open even though it's closed and that was the plan, or just look around, find a different restaurant, or you were gonna do these work tasks, the Wi-Fi's down, just something unexpected. Look for that opportunity to pivot, because that's truly the gift of mutable energy, which we are building to a mutable T-square. I'll chat more on that on Friday, but with mutable, it is the energy about adaptability. So while Virgo can be neurotic and it can be stressed and it can be attuned to the details, they are about adapting. And that's why it's associated with refinement and improving, right? Because it's literally how it is that we adapt in a very earthy, right, grounded, practical way in order to be our best selves. So while Virgo will be a little stressed by deviations in the plan, that's like literally what Virgo is here to do, is to help us to adapt and refine and organize and be able to deal with shifting stimuli. So I just want to draw that into focus. More immutable energy will come in a moment. Then that evening, the Taurus moon trines Virgo Sun, which is lovely, earthy, grounded energy. And it's kicking up a really lovely grand earth trine in the cosmos, which is grounded, which is practical. Like I said, there's like this push-pull this week where half of us can be like in rose-colored glasses, in the honeymoon stage, like not in the mood to deal with how we can make this connection better, or this roommate-ship better, or this work project better, like being like, let's just stay in the honeymoon phase, let's just act like everything's perfect. We don't want to deal with this head on. But like with this grand earthy trine, there really is this powerful energy when we're able to root down within the connection or with the living environment or with the work project, wherever it is that you're feeling this energy around improving and refinement, and taking the insights and the criticism generated and being able to integrate it to grow. Because there can be a tendency to be like, no, I'm perfect, I don't need to grow, or even this connection is perfect, I don't want to deal with ways that it could be better. But with this grand earthy trine, there's this really lovely flow of energy around how can things be improved, right? How can we dial in these details? Because the planets involved, so we have the Virgo Sun, we have Taurus Moon, and we have Pluto Capricorn, which is creating this lovely grand trine. And it's grounded, it's anchored in transformation. That's what Pluto is all about, particularly in soft aspects. It's practical, it's grounded with all these earthy energy. We can be generating a lot of fertile ideas. Again, with all of the retrograde energy, I wouldn't necessarily generate them, but notice how things could be made better. With retrograde, it's the time to keep your eyes open, right? It's not just saying pause life because everything goes to hell during Mercury retrograde. Quite the contrary. It's very, very valuable for initiating certain insights or introspections that come to the surface. And again, you could just be like, I can't see, I don't want to deal with how this project could be made better, how my content could be made better, or we can open in these criticisms and these insights with open arms. I mean, personally, sometimes that definitely comes to the surface. I read a comment on YouTube, or particularly TikTok. I don't know what the vibe is on TikTok, but the comments are there can be a little intense sometimes. And sometimes, you know, the tendency is to be like, ouch, well, who are you? Why are you criticizing? But it's like, they care about the content enough to be able to voice, hey, it could be made better in this way. And it's not to say that every single comment you should generate your content towards it, or every single comment from coworker you change your whole work project to accommodate, but really paying attention this week around certain insights that are generated and being like, could that be helpful? Could this be helpful for my next launch to integrate that piece of feedback that I got? Could that be helpful within our next roommate meeting to have this new chore wheel? Rather than locking ourselves in around, I'm perfect and if people come for me, I'm gonna be on the offense, really grounding down and saying, hey, what can I learn from this? How can I enrich my world with this feedback, with this gift that this person is giving me? Again, not a gift that we love to receive always necessarily, but a gift nonetheless. Thursday, the 15th, pay attention to your dreams overnight because that Taurus moon sextiles Neptune in Pisces, which tends to bring some interesting stuff into dreamland. And I do want to let you know that we have a long void moon Thursday morning, so I wouldn't necessarily plan on anything too terribly important. I would wait until the moon enters Gemini 1:16 p.m. and the vibe is good at that point onward. I mean, the Gemini moon is sextiling Jupiter in Aries, which again is enhancing communication and connection and like having conversations about these areas of our life, and not so much in a defensive way, but like genuinely seeing, hey, can we grow past this? Can I learn to close my cabinets and be a better human for it, right? Because particularly within relationships, you know, straddling between honeymoon and that, it gets like part of things are who we are, but in part, some of these observations that they're making might be able to make us the better version of ourselves. I'm calling myself out with a lot of these habits. I leave all of the cabinets open, and it's been an ongoing comment, we'll say, from those that I have lived with and dated. And part of me is like, well, that's just how I am. I just leave cabinets open. But I'm like, okay, I've hit my head so many times. What would it look like if I could genuinely get rid of this bad habit, right? And for some of these, it might be more intense, like a partner telling you to stop vaping or making a joke that hurts them, something of nature. I just bring that to the surface on Thursday just because with the Gemini moon, we're in the mood to communicate. And with the sextile to Jupiter, we're feeling a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more open. Friday feels like the sort of day when you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Does anybody else have those days where you are just like in a rush and everything is taking more time than it would imagine, and things are messy and you are frantic and you are frustrated and you are overwhelmed and you can't find this thing, and then you get distracted and you're over here and you're just annoyed, and in the midst of all of that you hit your head on a cabinet because your partner didn't close it, right? And you send a text like, you need to learn to turn off the cabinets. That's the vibe on Friday. And let me chat you through why it feels like that. So with Venus square Mars, like I said, with Venus Virgo, we are blowing up all of our partners or connection sort of flaws or imperfections or just details in general. And with the square to Mars, you know, they're kind of frustrating us. It's like, you know, it didn't used to bother us when they called us bug in front of our friends, but now it's kind of annoying us. And outside just love relationships, I also want to draw into focus. We can be more frustrated or impulsive about financial matters. Again, it's action meets Venus, which is love. So again, like you might have noticed all these details, but this sort of aspect where it's like, you need to close the cupboards. Please try to be softer with your delivery. With Venus square Mars, we're not always so, especially when the moon meets up with Mars on Friday. We're a little bit more reactive and we're distracted. With Sun opposite Neptune, we're sort of on a cloud, and maybe that's why we're running behind for everything and we're frustrated and we're stressed, because with Sun opposite Neptune, it's like maybe you wouldn't be running late for this meeting if you didn't get distracted by watching music videos from the 90s and things of that nature. We're just scattered, because that's what I really want to bring to the surface about mutable, is that because mutable signs are always at the end of the season, so this is Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, their job is to transition us. And that's why mutable signs, may I say so myself, are very dynamic. They're very fun. They are very witty. They're quick, because their job in the zodiac is to basically be able to transition us from one thing to the next. So they tend to be very quick. But when you have this mutable T-square, our energy is being pulled in so many directions. We're half in La La Land with Sun opposite Neptune, and like half of it is around, I don't want to see, I don't want to hear. If someone comes to you with this is wrong, or what if you got rid of this bad habit, or hey, this could be made better. With Sun opposite Neptune, it's like, I don't want to hear. I'm perfect. Thank you. So all I want to say about Friday is that our head can be in the clouds. We're distracted. We have a lot on our plate. We could be making silly mistakes. Our rush to do all the things just feels like a very chatty day. Emails just going back and forth, having a lot on your to-do list, but not being able to stop texting, and then feeling bad because you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do, but then getting distracted again. Again, a big part of Mars and Gemini that we all are collectively working with for the next 7 months, loves, is staying on track, staying focused, right? Like distraction is the Mars Gemini's biggest enemy. And that inherent push-pull that's been present this week between the bridge of honeymoon phase, which is rose-colored glasses, this person is perfect, I am perfect, there is nothing wrong, just go with the flow, everything's good, versus the stage after that part of the connection where all of a sudden you're seeing flaws and you're seeing imperfections and you're seeing all of these things. And again, it's like this kind of dance between reality and can we ground down into reality to notice, how can this connection be made stronger? How can we be the best version of ourselves within this connection? Or should we just go with the flow and ignore all of those things, right? There's like that balance between it. And I highlight this because Saturday, that inherent balance is there as well. Because the Gemini moon trine Saturn in Aquarius very early in the morning, around 4 a.m. And then it squares Neptune in Pisces. So it's like, this can be a productive morning if you can stay on track, if you can keep your mind engaged at the matter at hand. Gemini, we love you for your curiosity and your openness and your wit and your intellect. But the most deep attention span, always not necessarily. So while there is productive energy around conversations, around writing, around grounding down ideas into substance, that's the energy of Saturn, air signs with Saturn aspect, right? But with the Gemini moon square Neptune in Pisces, we can be distracted. And it's also the last quarter moon, which essentially a callback to last week's Pisces full moon. So if that was impactful for you, there can be certain themes from that time coming back to the surface. So prep for that. And then at that point, the moon is void. So from 2:52 onward until Sunday, the moon is void in Gemini. So try to stay on track and focus the beginning part of the day, because after that, when the moon's void, important tasks we must avoid. And I do want to draw into focus that evening, Mars in Gemini sextiles Chiron in Aries. So remember earlier this week, there was that moon aspect where it's like defensive. It's like, how dare you come at me for my cabinet habit or for my work habits or however else, like there was a defense. With this is helpful energy around being able to sort of take actions in order to deal or transform our relationship to that wound. So rather than being like, well, I'm just a mess, I'm always gonna have cabinets open, and don't they know how busy I am? How dare they criticize me? Saying, hey, is there a way that I could remember to do this? Maybe like a note in the kitchen. If it bothers my partner so much, maybe I can integrate that. Or if this energy comes up at work and someone emails you and says, hey, it's really challenging for the rest of the team when you do it like this, rather than being like, well, you guys can do it because that's not on my job description. Like really looking like, hey, can this work into my workflow in a way that supports the good of all of it? Essentially, actions that can support our own growth, and particularly in relation to where it is that we feel sensitive. So look out for opportunities of that nature. On Sunday, shortly after midnight PDT, the moon enters Cancer. It's a rulership. So again, with the moon so emphasized, feeling all of the things, feeling the things intensely. The moon is deeply responsive. It is the quickest luminary from our vantage point here on Earth, right? It's constantly changing signs, phases, waxing, waning, and we have to allow our own emotional landscape that space to wax and wane as well. And Cancer is associated with home, family, the past, nostalgia, so we can feel that we are craving a home base a little bit deeper, craving spending time with our loved ones a little bit deeper. Unfortunately, the Cancer moon does kick up a cardinal T-square. I'm telling you, a lot of conflict energy. And again, it's like it's not always easy to tell someone, hey, I think it could be made better this way, or I think you could improve your content in this way, or this work project, or your habits around the home. It's not always easy. Like the good thing about T-squares, they do drive us into action, and we have all this fertile energy around really enriching our world because of it. Virgo season can be annoying, but seriously, the focus is on refining and improving. So being able to ground down these insights or these habit shifts or anything of the nature. And the good thing about T-squares, they typically do drive us into action. So with the Cancer moon, you know, squaring Mercury, squaring Jupiter, and Mercury opposite Jupiter exacting on the same day, there can be certain emotional insights that are generated, especially since Mercury is retrograde at this time. And it's not always easy to voice those things, but with the T-square, it's about facing things head on. Luckily, Mercury is in Libra, so we could probably get this across in a very like charming or other focused way. With the opposition Jupiter, just be mindful around promises that people can't keep or buying anything significant or anything of the nature. Like I highlighted, Jupiter expands what it touches. It's hitting Mercury, so people could be talking a lot and not saying much, so just important to be mindful there. And then Sun trines Pluto on the same day, which is supporting ridding ourselves of any habits and tendencies that are no longer serving. Like Pluto is the planet, forgive my language, YouTube doesn't love this word, but of unaliving. But more so like unaliving tendencies and habits that are no longer serving and feeling into our power because of it. Because Pluto is earned power, the power that comes from having things stripped from you and being able to rebuild. And it's like power in your own becoming as well, in trusting the new version of yourself, in trusting that you do have the strength, you do have the willpower to be able to integrate new positive habits into your world in order to be the best version of yourself. But to do that work, it's important to face it head on, right? Sun is now separating from Neptune. So rather than living in a dream world where it's like, I'm perfect or we're perfect, really looking, whether it's your relationship, your roommateship, your work project, in the face and saying, how could this be made better? And while it might be an ouch, what's more of ouch in this world is not living up to your own potential or not ascending to your highest becoming, right? And that's what honesty gives us. That's what's looking at ourselves face on and saying, how could this be made better? How can I integrate this feedback and constructive criticism in order to make myself the best I can be, this project the best I can be? On the same day, that Cancer moon does square an ongoing tension between Mercury opposite Jupiter. Now, this already happened. This is a hallmark part of Mercury's journey, retrograde. And I would just be mindful. This feels like the energy where it's like you have this conversation and your loved one's like, yeah, I'll work on it. Like telling people what they want to hear sort of energy. So I would just say root down into becoming. Actions speak louder than words this week, and it's more powerful to really show someone you have changed. If something genuinely bothers you, I'm not saying if your partner's nitpicking you about every little thing, fundamentally changing yourself, but rather if there is something where it's like, this is a bad habit and I could get defensive about it, or I could just ground down and genuinely do the work. With Mercury opposite Jupiter, there is a tendency that maybe your partner's trying to tell you what to hear, like, oh yeah, babe, I'll work on not calling you bug around friends, or salespeople telling you what you want to hear. Be mindful of that. Mercury opposite Jupiter is great when it comes to optimism, big picture thinking, so definitely channel some of that. Like, even imagining, what if I was someone who didn't have coffee stains on my clothes and closed cabinets and was able to do my work projects in this way, or to make my content better in this way. Like, being optimistic, but knowing that the work that is needed needs to be done daily, practically, pragmatically, and this earth energy is supporting you with it, with the willpower, with the discipline, and really with the commitment to be your best self. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I view my world through a growth-oriented lens. Now, this is important because oftentimes it's almost like we harden into the person that we are, and we get to a certain time where it's like, no, I don't need to learn anymore. I don't need to change anymore. This is who I am. And don't get me wrong, understanding the person that we are and our own becoming is such a beautiful process, but it's also important, especially in this mutable season, that we are malleable, but malleable in ways that genuinely enrich our world, right? In ways where we do grow, knowing that there's always something that we can learn, or a new skill that we can take on, and viewing our world through that lens. And when you view the world through that lens, it doesn't feel like a personal attack when someone says, hey, the audio could be better on your videos, or hey, I think it would be more effective if you did this work project like this, or hey, these are certain habits that are creating discordance within the home. What if we release these particular habits? Like, viewing it more so as growth, like being like, I'm not fully formed. I'm consistently evolving and growing in my path to become the person I am. And how exciting is that? Like, when we view our world through that growth-oriented mindset around being like, this person is not attacking me. They actually believe in myself and my potential enough to share this input or this criticism with me in order to ensure that I'm living up to my highest potential, right? It can be a gift. I know not always when someone gives you criticism, you're like, thank you, but truly that's what it is. They're taking time to be able to share with you how it can be made better. And my mentor always says, she's like, don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. So it's not saying everything's valid. Like, if someone's coming at you in your TikTok comments saying that your nose is weird or whatever, don't change the world because of that. But if there's like a little bit of constructive criticism where you're like, wow, that would be somewhere that I would be interested in growing into, allowing yourself to view your world and your becoming through that growth-oriented mindset, and being able to enjoy the process as you become the best version of yourself. So my love, my Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay magical.